Hello and welcome to the Troyiverse. It is Saturday, May 9th, 11:28. It is a wonderful 63 degrees. It just started raining. I am kind of perturbed about it. No, I'm fine. But it was supposed to rain. It was supposed to start raining around like 2 o'clock, from like 2 to 5. I mean, granted, there's all predictions and stuff from the meteorologist. There we go. But yeah, I was like, let me run out, do my shopping, and get some other things, and like get back home before the rain falls. But apparently, the divine had other plans, so I just flow with the river. All right, so let's jump into this. The world as we know it is completely on fire. Oh my. Okay, so I don't know how informed you all are by the Tuesday that this will be coming out on, but the Hanta virus, as of right now, as of May 9th, this Saturday, there is a case of exposure already around America. Like, it's already here. It's been here for about, I want to say, 2 weeks, a week and a half. As you already know, from if you listen to the podcast, once again, hello, Troyiverse, 44-year-old black male who resides in Philadelphia, PA area. The Hanta virus is in Jersey. Now, here's the thing. Not fear-mongering. I'm telling you all to use your own discernment. However, when you listen to the news and the news tells you that, don't worry, it's going to be fine. It's not COVID. It's so rare. It's such a rare thing. So rare. Rare thing for the Hanta virus to turn into the Nova Hanta virus, which the Hanta virus itself is something that is contracted from, feces or urine or bodily fluids of a rodent or something of the rodent family coming in contact with a human, either food or their mouths or their nostrils, something like that, or eyes. They mainly it's the common thing is it happens around spring cleaning after we all hunker down for the winter, and some things, rodents or mice or something like that, might die in someone's house, and then they're cleaning, they didn't know, and the residue or whatever like that get kicked up in the air through sweeping or moving stuff around, and then somebody might breathe in that air that has the contaminated rodent, DNA in it, and that's how they might contract it. But it's, gives you mild symptoms and stuff like that. You can look it all up online, do your own research, of course. However, the more intense strand is the I can't remember it starts with an N, but that's the one where it mutates and it goes from being contracted from a rodent to a human, to now that infected human is now infecting other humans with that now mutated virus. That is what we're dealing with now. The inversion of that Hanta virus, which started with a whole bunch of rich individuals going on a cruise and touching and doing weird shit and in the jungle, and then bringing it back. And of course, now it's up to 8 cases, I believe. Now there are still 16 Americans that are still over in Spain, somewhere in Spain, in the port, that apparently CDC is heading there to retrieve those 16 Americans so they could bring them back to the United States and hold them in the CDC facility so they can test and, try to create a vaccine. However, the funny thing is, if you are abreast on world news and topics, then you will know the administration of, the shitbox basically pulled out of WHO, World Health Organization, as well as they've been firing and unrelated, speculated, allegedly, a lot of scientists has been going missing and or been murdered. So there's that. However, I want to say Canada. Or was it France? And it might have been France. Sorry, excuse me. It might have been France. France has already started their precautions because, after COVID, it was a reasonable thing to just be like, okay, let's figure out how long this virus is incubated, and then we'll take allowed it break until that is done and over with, and then we can move on and yada yada yada. So they're taking about 2 weeks off or something like that, or like 18 days or something like that, of just social distancing, staying home from school, stuff like that. I mean, do your own research. They could have, changed it by the time I report. But they're taking precautions, the same precautions that we should have taken during COVID, and the same precautions we should be taking now, which is, once again, wearing your mask, getting masks on again, staying 6 feet away from each other, wearing gloves if you're going out into the world and touching stuff that other people are going to also be touching. Things that I've been doing for about the last 4 years now. I have been lax with my mask. I haven't been wearing a mask like that. But I've just recently purchased a new mask, which is so fucking dope. It's like a goddamn, I'm not going to say it's a Mortal Kombat mask, but it looked like a Mortal Kombat mask, like a Sub-Zero scorpion, like that. It wraps around the head. It's so dope. Actually, it has the filter inside of it already, and actually you can exchange the filter and actually put a new filter on there. It's dope. It has the breathing mechanisms on the sides. It's fire. But anyway, just got that yesterday. I wasn't going out anywhere until I got it when it was delivered. So that's here. I'm using that. I always have my latex gloves because honestly, when I go out in the world anyway, I'm a germaphobe. I've been saying this. I said this before. I'll say it again. So when I go to like Acme or any stores or stuff like that, I'll put my gloves on because when I go shopping, what I can do is grab all this stuff, throw it in the bag, throw it in the cart. I don't have to touch the cart with my own personal hands, which means when I take the gloves off, if I get a nose itch or something like that, or my eye itches or something like that, or I want to rub my eye, I can rub my eye without having to worry about, is my hand contaminated? Did I touch something that somebody else with dirty hands touched, and now I'm touching my face with my now contaminated hands? No, I don't have to worry about that. I can just move on and be like, all right, my hands are free because I was using gloves with everything else in the outside world I was touching. So I remember I used to do that even with food. Like I used to if I had a hoagie or eat a hoagie or something like that, not because I thought the hoagie was contaminated, but I was like, I would eat my hoagie or stromboli and stuff like that, but because I didn't want to have my hands messy, I would just use gloves, and then after I was finished, I would just, wrap my food up, put my food away, then, put my gloves in the trash can, and then I would have clean hands to play video games or watch TV or yada yada yada. But anyway, take precautions, use your own discernment. I mean, listen to the words between the words of what the news people are saying. Um, when it comes down to any type of viruses or any type of contaminants, just do your own due diligence, your own research. That's really what I can say. I know what I'm doing, and I know how I'm preparing. Okay, so outside of the Hanta virus, the gas, the petrol situation that we're still involved in. So I don't know what gas is in your area, but for me, I drove past mine. It's at $4.49 for regular, like diesel is like 5 cents. I don't know. It's 5 something. I don't use diesel, so I wasn't paying attention. I'm not sure if that is higher or lower in whatever place you reside in America. But understand this. I was just, after doing my research, found out that the last tanker of oil from the Strait of Hormuz has arrived in America, and that is going to be the last shipment of oil that's going to be here until this war, because it's a war, happens. Regardless if shipbox want to say it's a war or not, it's a war. You can't. This is not a game of Risk where it's just on a board with dice and you can say, hold on, let me go eat a snack and I'll be back and then we can resume this thing. No, like, even with this mockery of a ceasefire that they claim we're in, they're still bombing Iran. Like, this administration is still bombing Iran, even to the point where this shitbox literally is like, well, it's a little tickles, little missile kisses, or whatever dumb shit he said. But like, here's my thing. Once again, I'm going to use the analogy the same way I used the analogy last time when I was talking about this shit when Israel or it's not real, and United States first bombed Iran. You can't have two dudes run up on another dude and then sucker punch him. And, I'm sorry, let me be, pro-positive. You can't have two women run up on another woman and sucker punch that one woman and then not expect that one woman or one man to fight back, or them, to fight back against the other people, and then get upset when that one person is taking belt to ass to both of these different individuals. You can't be upset, and you can't go and be like, all right, stop, freeze, hold on, freeze, and then while y'all like freeze, time out, you still kicking and punching the person that you told time out to. Literally, fucking, first of all, it's like the scene from Pineapple Express. It's like the scene. It's exactly. It's the world stage of war of Pineapple Express. For real. Like, it's ridiculous. Oh my God, it's Pineapple Express in real life. I just realized that. Anyway, yeah, so, if the reports I'm receiving is right, other countries and other places, especially China, is fine when it comes down to oil. Like, they are actually going inland and actually taking trains to certain other areas to then transport the oil to other countries so that these other countries aren't affected by the closing of the Strait of Hormuz by Iran, not the goddamn blockade. You cannot go and be like, yeah, we know that. Once again, another analogy. You can't go and be like, oh, y'all got food, water, and sustenance and stuff like that and behind y'all locked doors. Well, we're going to just stand in front of your door and just block your door. The people in the house don't need to go out anywhere. They're fine. Well, we're just going to block the door and then we're going to say that we told y'all to stay in the house. No, y'all didn't. We've been told y'all, and we told everybody, like, we're just staying in the house. We're not going anywhere. We're like, we're good. We're self-sustained here. Like, we're good here. no. Y'all not good until we tell y'all good. So we're going to stand in front of y'all house so that y'all don't come out. That's basically what the blockade is. They literally are like, oh yeah, we're going to block them in. Block them in from what? Like they're home? Like they're home. Like they already home. Like they chilling. They don't. Here's the thing. They don't need us. We need their oil. We need their oil. We need their petrol. Their petrol literally creates so much fucking shit for us to. It's not just gas for the car. Like this is the thing that's fucking hilarious, because there's something that another reporter that not a reporter, she's a correspondent on a lot of stuff, and I actually follow her on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. A couple of people that have correspondents on like CNN and stuff like that, but like it doesn't just affect your gas; it affects the gas of the trucks that are bringing the groceries in. It affects the gas that is in the farming like equipment that plows the soil and the ground and stuff like that, so that we can have our foods and stuff like that we grow, like the potatoes and stuff like that we grow, the wheat and everything that we grow. The ships, like it does so much stuff. So it's not just the fact that our gas prices are also going up and will continue to go up, because point blank period, we don't know when the fuck the next time we're gonna get gas, which means, or oil or petrol. So we don't know how far or how high the gas price is going to keep getting raised up, as well as the prices of produce and water and so many other stuff. Is going to get to a point where food deserts are going to be the first places that are going to get hit, where if you don't have any way to bring food or groceries into your own place, then you're basically going to starve unless you have contingencies for that. The supermarket's going to eventually going to get to a point where they're not going to be able to like bring in the produce to their places, because once again, a lot of the groceries and stuff, like I told you, goes into the warehouse grocery spot that's in like what's that, West Philly, but like Southwest Philly, I think. Southwest. It might be Southwest Philly. Anyway, but like it's insanity. So I hope everybody buckle in, because it's going to get a lot worse before it get a lot better, because Shipbach and his administration are up here playing toy soldiers, and they could give two shits, because them and their families already been stocked up for this shit. They already been abreast on the situation, but still telling the American people it's fine. It's about to be summer soon. Fill up your gas tank, go on a road trip. It's going to be okay. When it's like, how, Sway? How? Like, you don't got all the answers, Sway. And it's fucked up, because there's a lot of people who don't even pay attention to the news or pay attention to worldly events, and who just are still going by a day-to-day basis of thinking and saying like, okay, this is just a regular normal Saturday in May, and nothing else outside of their world events or their front doors or their blocks or their neighborhoods or their, part of the city, or even their city, phases them, because that's not they got too much other stuff to think about. They got other things in their personal lives that are affecting them, which I drastically feel bad for them, because they are unbeknownst to them, they're gonna be fucked the worst, because they not gonna know why this is happening. They're just gonna be experiencing this shit. Hence why I hope for those who have listened to my podcast, who enjoy my podcast, was paying attention to the things I've been saying, and at least hopefully got to a position or a point where they could start doing their own research and then start stocking up the things they need to stock up. Like, get your water, get your toilet paper, get your paper towels, get your disinfectants, get your, like, peroxides and alcohol, rubbing alcohol, like, get your canned goods, get some, like, iodine, get some, like, first aid kits. See if you can find a generator, solar generator if you can. Like, get weapons. Like, prepare yourself for any contingency. Like, go read a Batman comic book and then be like, how can I be like Batman, and do a contingency plan to figure out what might go wrong so I can be ahead of the curve and not be scrambling the same way other people are going to be scrambling in the next month or so. Damn, my birthday next month. That's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, what else? I can't even think of what else is going on in the world right now. Also the thing with money. So I was informed, and I was doing some research myself about it, by one of my neighbors that's on TikTok, who was talking about the Philadelphia district. It was like, it's funny how one of the schools, Germantown High, was sold for like $100,000 or something like that. And somehow, though, we still are paying more taxes in the area, but at the same time, there was no extra money for the trash detail. That's why the trash company was like stopped in Philly for like, what was that, 2 months, something like that, or like a month and a half, something like that. We just couldn't take our trash. No trash was being picked up, but somehow they made I think it was $80 million school in Northeast. An $80 million school was just like made and constructed this year in the Northeast of Philadelphia. Wow. If they could raise that much money to create a new state-of-the-art school, they could have used that money to branch out to other schools. But of course, we know why that did not happen, that didn't occur. We don't have to go through semantic. Oh, there it is. Thank you. I knew I was going to remember it. I knew I was going to remember it by saying something regarding the taboo topic of race. But yeah, so the gerrymandering of the Republicans after the gerrymandering of the Democrats have gone to the fullest extent of no longer having these parasites continue to try to say racism not real. There's no such thing as racism. Like, racism, that was abolished. We blah, 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 blah. First of all, you can't go and be like, well, clearly they can. Like, they literally, the Democrats was like, listen, y'all fucking with shit. Y'all clearly trying to use y'all expanded area of living to try to create a larger map so that the Republicans can continue to hold the seats that they're holding, because they knew for a fact that they was going to lose the midterms. They knew for a fact they was going to lose the midterm. They knew for a fact they were losing the midterms, so they decided to cheat and to just dismiss. They changed it so much that now there is no such thing as like the black like voting area for certain states. no like there's no like blue in the red anymore. Literally, it's just a bunch of just Republicans just took over certain areas, which once again they're like I seen a congressman, you can look it up yourself, talking about trying to take away the 14th Amendment. So at this point, I feel like there's another civil war about to start happening. Once again, like I said earlier, just if you're able-bodied, get ready to fight. If you're not, hunker down and get your supplies so that you can stay safe while this is happening. Cause this they are changing the way that they see terrorism. They're creating a thing called thought crimes. I think I've talked about it before. I think I made a joke about this being like what's the Tom Cruise movie with the precogs? I can't remember the name of it, but regardless, thought crimes. So actually, it's funny because they actually pit if you're anti-fascist, then you're a terrorist to the American government. Once again, anti-fascist. If you're anti-fascist, which means anti, here's the thing. Even if you read comic books, even if you read sci-fi movies, you know that, you have matter, which, is the construction of everything, of all the molecules here on this type of dimension, this plane of existence. And then you have antimatter. And if those two were to collide, they cancel each other out because it's the opposite of each other. Just like the Monitor in DC Comics and the Anti-Monitor, which are two sides of the same, yada, yada, yada. But they cancel each other out. They are not supposed to be together. Hence, if you have fascism, which we should all be able to agree is a horrible thing. We should not ever want to be in a fascist country. I would assume we would have all agreed to that, but clearly those that are in the shitbox cabinet and those that are in the cult for the shitbox, this dementia patient, feel as though now it's going to become a crime if you are anti-fascism, and they will choose to continue to see you as a terrorist to the state of America if you are anti-fascist. we this is anyway. Do your research. Do what you will with that information. Understand that this is now the new world order that we are going to be tried to be pushed into, unless there's some type of, I don't know, revolt, revolution, civil war, coup of the fucking government. Listen, read up on your Second Amendments, your right to bear arms, try to apply for your right to conceal carry, or look at your local laws to figure out what you can do when it comes down to having weapons on your person for your own safety. There's a lot of laws that's been changed recently when it comes down to gun laws. A lot of different states. So inform yourself on what to do with that. Always know the law of your state, honestly, regardless of if you are going to be a carrier or not of any type of weapons or whatever. Always know your laws if you can, which is up to you if you want to or not. Do your own research. What else? Let's see. I want to say that all I can really think of when it comes down to world events and stuff like that right now, because I know a lot of people are talking about the Will Smith and Jada thing that happened, I think last week, where they finally are divorced. Jada did not get anything from Will. She tried to get, of course, half, if not more, of his estate and all the stuff that he earned. And the judge said no. They used the fact of the public embarrassment of her grooming her son's friend and sleeping with him, and how that was a, media fiasco, whatever it is. I mean, regardless of anything, if you know me, you know how I feel about the whole thing. Both of them, they had an open marriage. Now, here's the thing. As far as I know from the records of what was told, the young boy that Jada fucked was of age. He was of consenting age. She's a consenting adult. He was a consenting adult. They fucked. It is what it is. I remember the interview where they meaning Jada and Will, first met Margot Robbie, and the first thing Jada said that she said to Will was, "Oh no, you have to work out and get in shape if you're going to be in a bedroom scene with her." And a lot of people have speculated, and I will include myself because I was not in the bedroom with them when this happened, but a lot of people speculated that Margot Robbie and Will were fucking. They had a very wonderful, intimate relationship of just having a lot of fucking coitus with each other. Because I was not in the bedroom, I cannot say here or there if that is true or not, but certain signs, certain body languages would lean to the side of that was a possibility. They're two grown adults, two consenting adults. If they wanted to do that, that's their choice. Yada, yada, yada. So that's my opinion about it. It is what it is. I do feel as though I am happy for Will that he is no longer in that marriage, because the psychological damage and trauma that he was experiencing while going through that relationship, and I can't say that he was putting her through psychological damage or trauma. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I remember seeing a lot of different videos from Will back in the day, and it was just one of those, like the main one was where he was like just saying the quiet part out loud and just being like, I can't make someone else happy. It's not on me to make them happy. It's them making themselves happy, and we can connect on a level of happiness together. But it's not my responsibility or job to try to change or maneuver or manage somebody else's happiness for them. He was like, he can only manage his own happiness for his own self. And I respect that, and I was like, yo, real rap. Like, you can be there to support your friend, your spouse, your family members, yada, 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 but it's not up to you to hold this weighted vest of their emotions on your own back and be like, yeah, like today if I can get them to smile, then everything is blah blah blah. It's about them learning and figuring out how to manage their own ups and downs. And I was after that I was like, yeah, I respect that. Now I was always a fan of Will since like when he was first rapping. Parents just don't understand. To the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, to the Independence Day, to all the stuff. Bad Boys. Like I was always a fan. Like I do feel like his manager fucked him over a lot, and I would love to travel to the infinite omniverse of different movies that he neglected to sign on to. I would love to have seen Will Smith as Neo in the Matrix, but we got iRobot. But so yeah, I regardless of whatever happens for both of them, I wish them both the best. I don't know him personally, but as somebody as a native Philadelphian, I'm always going to like support and rep Will Smith, because yeah, like he got it from the mud. Like he came from Philly, and he is a world renowned, world known like name, and it's like a respect given to respect due. But yeah. Outside of that, I can't think of anything else because I don't care about celebrity stuff. I got like, there's too much stuff going on in the world for me to be like, and no shade or disrespect to anybody else. It's like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. The Megan Thee Stallion thing and blah 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 blah. I don't know. I didn't even know she was dating anybody until everybody was crying about how the breakup happened. And I think people still don't know why they broke up. They just making assumptions. But regardless, none of my business. I don't care. What else? I can't think of anything else about world events right now. I might be able to think about something after I finish recording. But as of right now, or hopefully before I stop recording, something else will come to mind. But until then, I am going to jump on to another topic of movies and TV shows again, because what I tell you, this week has been phenomenal for my media consumption. So first of all, Daredevil season 2 Born Again on Disney Plus, phenomenal series, or should I say like season 5 of Daredevil. Like, phenomenal series. Like, beginning to end, every episode was dope. They was even doing scenes straight ripped from the comic book illustration. Like, it was bloody, it was intense. Like, people died that I didn't expect to die, but I wasn't like mad when they died. Like, it was good. It was good. Also, Darth Maul season finale, or the Darth Maul series, Star Wars Darth Maul Shadow Lord. Such a good series. So good. Even the last... Okay, so here's the thing. Because Darth Maul is an amazing character. The voice actor who played him throughout his whole career, basically. The dude from... Being Human, the American version of Being Human, the vampire who was on the show of that American broadcast of Being Human, he plays the voice of Darth Maul. He was also Star Killer from the Force Unleashed games. His facial structure and his voice, was the model for the character. So he loves the Star Wars lore. He really enjoys the embodying the characters. Like, he hangs out with Dave Filoni, and they just construct storylines and plots and stuff like that to, adapt it to the animated series. And he was filtered in through so many things. Like, and of course, it's so great for me personally when you see characters where you know where they basically started from, really, and you also know where they end at, but you can fill in so many like key points and markers of their life within that birth and death like timeline. And that's what this does, because regardless of anything, no spoilers or anything like that, but Darth Vader makes an appearance, and it's something that I never really thought of in the Star Wars universe, of having Darth Maul like engaging in any type of way with Darth Vader. But the way that it was constructed and done, like, it was like, I'm afraid. Like, I'm afraid for one of these characters. I'm not going to say who. But I was legitimately like biting my nails, being like, yo, this is crazy. But at the same time, I still, in the back of my head, was like, oh no, like, I know this motherfucker's going to, like, I know where they die at. Like, I know how they both die. I know where they, like, spoiler alert if you don't know this, but, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi kills Darth Maul. Like, that's canon. Like, it happened already in the canonical sense of the Star Wars mythology and lore. So, regardless of whatever time these Darths meet, we know that Darth Vader also dies, killing the Emperor and helping his son out, so like that. So it's going to be dynamic, but at the same time, it's going to be tense. And they merged those elements so well, where it was literally like, I'm afraid. Like, this like, it was well written, well choreographed, and it made sense to the understanding of each character. It was so well done. So that was amazing. I actually finished Wuthering Heights. Oh man, when I tell you, finishing Wuthering Heights was so wild. Like, I was completely, utterly, like, in awe of that movie. Like, it was, and it was, what's so great? It was so good. It was so good that I also started watching I want to say original movie. I'm not sure if it's the original movie, but it was produced and created and put out in like 1939. And it was I didn't know that it was a novel done by like Emily, what's her name? Emily Bront. But yeah, man, listen, like, that thing was so well done. I was so impressed by it. I was so I enjoyed every moment of that movie, and the ending of it was just so spectacularly good. I didn't see it coming. Of course, the new up-to-date adaptation is slightly different from the original 1939 movie, because even like, it's so funny. I keep doing this. I stopped halfway through the 1939 movie the same way I stopped halfway through this new up-to-date version. But characters are placed in different places. There's different, like, it's an adaptation. Like, so certain scenes that happened in the first movie didn't happen exactly the same way in the original movie, which I was like, I enjoyed, because once again, I talked about the Omniverse and stuff like that. So it's been great to see these two movies adapted from this book, this novel, and see how the adaptations varies from the original concept, which I haven't read the book. Maybe one day I will. I have a lot of books in my library that I have to read, so If I get there, I get there. If not, I not. It is what it is. But I definitely enjoyed the two, or I am enjoying the two film adaptations of this novel. Just the same way as when it comes to comic books, I am so happy. Okay, here's the thing. I don't care about the Marvel DC crossover like one shot events that they're doing. I could give two shits about that. Until it comes into a continuity standpoint that you see Wolverine and fucking like Red Hood or something like that, like fighting side by side, like, you know what I mean, or having a fucking huge ass like X-Men, Justice League, Wildcats, Blood Syndicate, like all in one fucking panel fighting up against like, Darkseid and fucking Thanos. I really could give two shits about these one shots. Now, however, I will say I do love when the main comic book, like the main like Thor did it about 4 or 5 years ago. Storm just did it this week, and I'm fucking happy because they planting these seeds. Storm was in the DC universe. Nobody can fucking like claim otherwise. She was in the she was right in front of the goddamn source wall. Not to mention, she's seen the bird that is the DC version of the Phoenix, but even though DC does have a Phoenix, but like it's a firebird or a fire canary or something like that that is in the DC universe. Aurora seen that firebird, and she actually called it. She was like, "Gene, like that." She was like, "That's not the Phoenix. That's not what you know of as the Phoenix. That's another adaptation of this world. That's the same bird that's in the DC universe." Storm was in the DC universe. Not only was Storm in the DC universe, but they are opening up the Omniverse because fucking Jujutsu Kaisen was in that comic book as well. Storm was thrown through the Omniverse. I am so happy they're finally catching up. She was thrown through the Omniverse. They stopped saying, "Oh, look at this Marvel multiverse," and just have them locked into this fucking like prison of their own design of saying, "Oh yeah, you can fight against these different variations of the Marvel characters." No. They are literally breaking through and saying, "Nope, the Jujutsu Kaisen anime universe is in the Omniverse. The DC universe is in the Omniverse. Our reality is in the Omniverse." Like, it's all there. It's all connected. DC's been doing that as well when they've been doing their side storylines, if you will, of Darkseid going into other realities, because Darkseid been going into like the Sonic universe, and they've been doing like the Warner Brothers cartoon universe. They've been doing all these branches off into these other omniverses to say Darkseid is looking for power sources outside of their DC multiverse omniverse, if you will. Because now DC has a multiverse that is so large that it's now becoming an omniverse. And once again, Superman is gone from the landscape right now. Superman is no longer in the DC universe as of right. The main continuity, Superman, Clark, Kal-El, is no longer in the DC universe. Hence why you have Superboy Prime as the main Superman for the continuity of DC. That being said, I am looking forward to, fingers crossed, because of course DC and Marvel are trying to gauge the water to see what fans like and fans enjoy, and of course the fans want to see this as well. As both companies know they can just print money if they do this shit. If they fucking bring the Justice League and the X-Men together, or Justice League and Avengers together, in a live screen adaptation, they will be able to print money. And they have to gear that up into the comic book zeitgeist to see if y'all still want this. Y'all still okay? Just like the Dakota incident from Milestone, they was trying to gauge the water to say, hey, y'all want this? Do y'all want these black-led characters? And the resounding sound was yes. It sold out everywhere. So now, will they follow up with that information? That's up to them or not. However, when it comes down to merging the, main fucking heroes of both respective universes into one smorgasbord, that they can print money. And they're planting that seed now. Especially with the whole thing of having Darkseid, ending how that Darkseid DCKO event went, and being like, oh yeah, Clark saved reality, but not all of reality, because Darkseid's still going on to do different versions of the multiverse in DC, and still infusing his Omega energy into their realities, and like changing their like power sets. So Clark, knowing this, is now going away so he can find other heroes and other things, other beings that can help combat Darkseid against this new threat, multiversal threat, technically omniversal threat. So let's see how this shit play out. If it plays out the way I believe it's going to play out, it's going to be a great start, and hopefully they stick the landing. That's all I'm going to say. But at the same time, it's so funny because we got to make it there. We've really got to make it there, because regardless of what's going on in comic book world and movie world, all the stuff I said before about the world events, like, we got to make it there. Like, we got, between the threat of World War III, the threat of Civil War, the threat of, like, slavery might be Jim Crow might be coming back. Like, I mean, like, the fucking next pandemic is like right around the corner. Like, there's somebody in Jersey. Two people in Jersey contracted this goddamn virus. Anyway, moving on. I'm excited for the comic book stuff. I'm excited for the book stuff. What else? I finished in like, it wasn't one sitting, but it definitely was like 3 or 4 days of watching. My Dress Up Darling season 1, such a good show. It's such a good anime. I enjoyed every episode, literally to the point where all I kept thinking about at the very last episode was like Prince "Take Me With You" song, and because that's what the feeling I got from that, the whole like experience was just, that's all they wanted. They whatever they was doing, like, it was just take me with you. We'll go together. Oh my God, when I tell you, the first con that they went to together for her first like cosplay, I'm not gonna hold you, I teared up so many times. I'm not gonna I didn't sob. Thankfully, this wasn't like My Lie. Was it My Lie in April or Your Lie in April? It wasn't like Your Lie in April where I was sobbing. I was sobbing on that anime. That anime, like, that shit, it grabbed me by the heart and just crushed it. But like, I was tearing up because I was like, that's so beautiful. Like, they're like, the essence of the character development for these characters was so fucking beautiful. But like, when they went to the first Comic-Con and she was taking the pictures and she actually made an unprompted fucking line where people were just like photographing her stuff, and then he went and he was about to leave, he was about to like walk off, and you see, like, it flashed back to her and she was looking around for him. And then when she was almost about to break, She was almost about to break and about to whimper, and then she spotted him, and her eyes lit up, and she started running to him. It was beautiful. It was like I love their dynamic. Like, I love their dynamic. I love their dynamic. I enjoy the concept of the show. I enjoy all the characters I've met so far. I know about the characters in season 2 that's coming up, and I enjoy them as well, but I can't wait to actually watch it myself, instead of how I originally watched it, which was through Dana Dubb's episodes on YouTube. But like, and of course, it's my focus is on multiple things while watching Dana Dubb's. She's so captivating. Like, she draws me in, but it's not like you can see the full episodes of her thing unless you get her Patreon, which I highly recommend getting her Patreon. I think she's about to get she's creating a Discord as well now. So if you find her on YouTube and you like her stuff, and you find her stuff on Patreon, like her stuff, and you want to talk to her more, yada yada yada. And I'm not even sponsored by her. I'm not getting any money from it. But I want to support. Like, I like her energy. I like her style. The same way with Infamous Sora. Like, find her on YouTube, find her on TikTok. Like, she's actually starting to get Infamous Sora is starting to get recognition from like presidents of like gaming companies and stuff like that. And like Sony is like, I think one of the presidents of Sony is actually following her or something like that. It's pretty dope. Like, I'm like proud of her, man. Like, that they doing their thing. Just like it's another artist, a content creator, that what's her name? Chloe, the Healing Hits or something like that, or she's on TikTok, and I'm not sure if she's in a professional stance, but in the professional field, but she really gives great advice for everyone. It's not just centralized to the film side of the like spectrum or the male side of the spectrum. It's like, it's advice and information that can help anybody of any gender or any non-gender perspective. Is really well done. I enjoy communicating and having back and forth conversations with her about the things that she states and says, and my representation of that and how I feel about it. I found another woman who's a theorist as well. I enjoy her content. I think I might have like made her feel some type of way. I'm not sure. That's my own like thought process, because the way she speaks is great, but I do feel like she is missing certain factors, because her thing is which I don't disagree. I feel when it comes down to it, I feel like, and I said this before and I'll say it again, like I said, I'm actually in school to become a psychiatrist myself. Everyone should seek therapy for whatever trauma that they are dealing with. Even if you don't think you're dealing with trauma, it's always great underneath or behind these stressful occasions, events. I mean, hell, after COVID, everybody should have some type of therapy after that, because that was such a global as well as internal like change of lifestyle for everyone. So to have such a drastic adjustment period of reality, everyone should be able to talk to somebody about how they feel about their lives after that transition, as well as what happened during it. So even with that being said, what her main focus is, she's saying like black men should see black female therapists or psychiatrists, and I agree to a certain extent. I'm not saying they shouldn't. But her reasonings were, if black men go to other black men or black males for therapy, then they aren't going to open up, and they're going to see the man as a bro or somebody they look up to or something like that, like a mentor or something like that, and they might not feel comfortable opening up emotionally to that male because they don't want that male to see them in a certain light. And I agree, once again, to a certain extent, because I'm like, that's a true blue possibility of things that has happened, in the male stratosphere. However, my thing was to not discount the fact that when it comes down to a lot of black men as well, not all, but a lot, they have been trained by the first, woman in their life, which was their mom or their grandmom or their sisters or yada yada, to have their emotions closed off or had their emotions looked at as being not male or not manly. And then, of course, a dating sphere of when men show their emotions or show anything that is more deep to their lady counterparts or their partners or like that, that usually is sometimes being manipulated and used against them later in an argument or yada yada, which teaches them not to express themselves or to reveal their emotions to the opposite sex. Hence, why I was like, that's a huge factor that shouldn't be ignored. It shouldn't. We can all agree and admit that what she said is a possibility for a man and another man, black man and another black man, building that type of rapport and might not be able to express themselves in an emotional sense. But you can't negate that when it comes down to a lot of black men, that they have experienced having their emotions weaponized by a black woman. So to have them go into the case of seeing a professional black woman and then trying to have them open up emotionally, it could trigger something that pushes them to actually hold back more. Now, I did say, and I was like, I hope I'm getting this right, because I was like, I do agree on some extent, because once again, not all men, but there's a possibility of reprogramming that original childhood trauma from those experiences that those black men have now learned or had become their natural predication of their emotions, of being raised in an area where black women have weaponized their emotions or said, they are acting feminine or sassy if they show emotion, by reprogramming that, by having a professional woman, black woman, encourage them to talk about their emotions more and to show them, in their own respective time, that they are in a safe space to share their emotions to this, professional, therapist that is a black woman. So I was like, no, I agree that because once again, no one person is a monolith. So there's no reason to say that one black male is going to act this certain way, which means all black males are going to act a certain way in regards to this black professional, male or female, therapist or psychiatrist. However, when it comes down to it, we don't want to negatively associate something that can happen to a few or a lot of these individuals and correlate that to say, then that should be also the process for other people as well. Like, everybody has their own individual experiences, as similar as they might be. It doesn't matter. It's still being able to take it by a case basis and say, find what best suits you and what is going to help you become the best individual that you can. That goes for any gender or non-gender person, in this conversation. So it was really great. I can't remember her name right now, but if I do come across, I will, because I'm not following her, but I've commented enough that her posts keep on popping up in my my For You page. So when I see her again or see her content again, I'll remember her name so I can actually put it into the next podcast if I talk about that or something. But yeah, it was very interesting. I enjoy the conversation basis of talking to different new and older experienced therapists or psychiatrists, even to the point where I even enjoy watching YouTube videos of psychiatrists, doing their thing. I started with like what's his name? Dr. Remont. I'm not going to butcher her name because I can't remember her name right offhand. But the professional Indian doctor who, if you know about psychiatry or those who are in psychiatry at this point are like successful in a public range, then you would have came across her and stuff like that. She talks about narcissism a lot. She talks about gaslighting a lot. She talks about a lot of different forms of modern terminologies that people without these psychology degrees or these degrees in counseling want to use in the zeitgeist as we know it. Regardless, I started out watching her, and I started watching the two dudes who watch movies and they do therapy analysis on characters and stuff. I started watching them. I recently started getting into a new video channel where it was a guy who he was doing a whole Kill Bill, all the characters in Kill Bill analysis, and it was so fascinating because one, I loved Kill Bill, like regardless of the new problematic stance of Quentin Tarantino, his movies have always been phenomenal to me. Like, even even after I knew about his foot fetish, that's his journey. If he likes feet, that's his thing. I personally don't like feet, which is like, it is what it is, but like, that's his thing, that I don't care. But all his other views and stuff like that, I don't really agree with the controversial views, but that doesn't take away from me enjoying his films. Kill Bill is one of my favorite films. Hell, True Romance is my top 10, like, not even top 10, top 3 favorite films out there. Like, I love Kill Bill. I love True Romance. Now, the funny thing about True Romance is a lot of people don't know that he wrote True Romance. He wrote the script, and he was the screenwriter for True Romance. He gave it to a different director, and a director changed the ending for True Romance because Clarence was supposed to die. Like, Alabama was actually supposed to have Elvis by herself, and that was supposed to be the scene where her and Elvis was on the beach playing around, and Clarence wasn't supposed to be there with an eye patch on. Like, he's supposed to die, but he wanted this to be a love story where they prevailed and they actually got the happy ending, which I agree. I think that's the better ending for them to actually survive. I'm a bleeding heart romantic. Like, I like romance. I love love. I love love. So to have these characters who find each other off of the circumstances of her being a call girl and escort, and That was her second job, and she's not, Florida white trash. She's came to try to make the best out of a bad situation, and to have him be like this fucking mild sociopath, like it was sociopathic tendencies with his character, but like to have like him be a hopeless romantic himself and reading comic books his whole life and believing this is what heroes do, and he literally went and killed him like his dad said. He put him down like a mad dog. Like the violence had reason, and it was such a well done movie. Like I highly recommend everybody see it. Of course, trigger warnings for, drug abuse, violence against women, death, harm against animals. Like, trigger warnings all around. But regardless of sensibilities of people's, like, taste of what they can stomach or not, the whole overarching film was fucking hilariously great. Like, it was such a contrast of what you would think the movie is about compared to what it is actually visually showing you. Well, like, such a great movie. True Romance, like I said, one of my top 3. But when I was watching, going back to the psychiatry analysis of the characters, I noticed something that I never noticed before when I was watching Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. Bill was Bruce Wayne. If you take and you look at what Bill did, what Bill was doing, what the whole context of Bill as a character, Bill was a evil, dark representation of Bruce Wayne. If Bruce Wayne was actually okay with killing, that would have been Bill. He would have been Bill. Bill and him would have been the same character, which makes it even more hilarious that Bill's analysis of Clark and Superman at the end of Volume 2 is even more profound for me now, because it was literally Batman. It was Bruce and doing an analysis of fucking Superman, of Clark. Like, now, understand this, why I say Bruce and Bill is the same. We don't know Bill's history, but we do know of his history. We don't know what started him on this fucking journey to Hattori Hanzo and Shao Meng. Was it Shao Meng? The kung fu master that taught him, stuff like that. That Beatrix learned the 5-point death pressure point attack, whatever, or 5 deadly point palm attack. Like, we don't know what started Bill's journey, but we do know Bill's journey was similar to Bruce. He went to every expert in their field to learn from them, to be the best that he could be, so that when he went up against other people, if they didn't take on his master and defeat him, then he knew he was going to be able to survive. And what did he do? He took on a whole bunch of different orphans and people to then have those orphans and people learn from the masters, from his masters, to the point where, like, Beatrix had to go to Hattori Hanzo himself to have him craft her a sword. Like, it was wild work, dude. Like, Bill was essentially Bruce Wayne in that universe. It's fucking dope. But regardless, that was one of the things I enjoyed watching. I was watching that for a good 3 days of, like, a lot of his videos, like, sporadically, like 1 or 2 videos a piece a day or something like that, of the Kill Bill characters. Like, I watched the one about Buck, his brother, about Pai Mei, about Pai Mei, about Gogo. There's one, about Lucy's Lou's character. What's the name? Ren. Um, who else? Who else? I did not watch the one with what's her name? The one that got her eye pulled out. What is she? Yeah, I didn't watch that one. I didn't watch. I didn't look up to see if they had one because her character really. It was kind of like self-explanatory with her character. She just was trying to protect her daughter from the sins of her past, but they came a knocking. I'm trying to think what else. But yeah, I was watching those videos. I love those videos. They are entertaining. They're fun for me. They help me to get more in alignment with the profession that I'm pursuing, that I am gearing into. So yeah, I enjoy it a lot. But I'm trying to think, what else did I watch this week? That I finished season 1 of the Demon King. The Misfit and Demon King Academy. I finished season 1 of that. That was a great anime. I'm watching season 2 now, I'm starting season 2 now. I think I'm like 2 or 3 episodes in, which is 2 episodes in, which is great. Like, I enjoy how cocky all the characters are, but how powerful the characters are, and seeing how they get out of this calamity that they was thrusted into this season. It's really well done. What else? I'd say that's pretty. I found a new woman gamer playing God of War, which has been interesting because she is hilarious. Apparently she was gifted a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation. I think I talked about this before, but she was gifted a PlayStation 4 or 5. She started playing God of War because she put on her channel to ask what game should she play. I think she's also playing Mass Effect, so she's playing God of War and Mass Effect, which I love Mass Effect as well. But I really enjoy how she's engaging with the game and how she's engaging with the characters. It's really sweet and cute because she finds Atreus so adorable, so she's super attentive and affectionate when it comes to him, and it's so great. And as somebody who admitted, when she first started, she's not a gamer. She just started playing. She just wanted to start playing games, and she's starting now. She's doing a hell of a good job. Now, I told her I don't compare or judge people off other people's gaming, but when I tell you I am more entertained by her gameplay than I was by the last woman's gameplay that I was watching, and it's not because of the fact that she was a bad gamer. It's just okay. So how I started my gaming viewership, if you will, was, of course, I was watching YouTubers play games. Or watching people play games. Eventually, I think I said this before, but I'll say it again just for any newer listeners. I would watch, males play the game, stuff like that, because I was just watching games that I like played. And a lot of times, there was a lot of males playing those games. But then, I started seeing patterns around all the males playing the game. It wasn't the same exact gameplay, and it wasn't the same exact emotional chord, but it was a thing of similarities that I was just kind of getting bored of because it started becoming repetitive, if you will. But then I started noticing there were a lot of women gamers out there, so I started watching women gamers play, and I started seeing real noticeable differences on the way the male gamer mind worked compared to the female gamer mind and how it works. And it tickled me because a lot of the original women gamers that I was watching, they would do the same. They would do the same thing. Like if it was games like God of War or something like that, they would not look up. Like if you play God of War and God of War Ragnarok, then you know that it's a fully immersive 3-dimensional space game where you have to look up. There's going to be birds flying that you have to like attack and hit with your axe. There's jugs on like hanging from like stalactites and stuff like that you gotta like knock down. There's things on the ground that you gotta look around and like piece together. There's multiple enemies and stuff like that. A lot of women gamers, when they first start playing games, that I've noticed, not all of them, not all women, but they won't look up. They'll just look straight, or they'll turn their head left and right, and that'll be it. And they'll be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then of course it'll always be like some prompt to be like, look up or look down or something. But like, it would be a continued narrative of them throughout the whole game, or throughout half of the game, being like, where am I supposed to go? And they just be looking left and right, and just that's it. They would not look up. They won't look down. They won't look around. Nothing. It's so funny. So usually it'll be a thing of, by a certain point in the game, if they're still doing the same thing that they were doing previously, of just looking left and right, not looking up and down, not looking spiritually around their surroundings, but just looking left and right, I'm not watching them play anymore. I just can't. I can't. It's like, come on, you gotta learn. You gotta like be better, become better, like learn and progress, evolve in your gameplay. So this is what the last person before this latest person that I was watching, like, don't get me wrong, the one I'm watching now, she has not learned about kamikazes. She does, like, I don't know why, but she hasn't grasped the concept of, if something is glowing and start floating towards you, and then you see a big flash and you lose health, that is a person that is a bomber. That's a bomb person. Like, stop. Like, don't put your shield up and expect the shield to shield you from an explosion. Like, no. Plus, you have multiple things to help you with range things. You have your son Atreus, who has a bow and arrow, and you can throw your axe. Like, stay away. For some reason, it's not holding water for some reason. But for the other character, it was a thing of being able to not have a thing where she pays attention to her surroundings and what's going on. Because there was a whole thing where she was fighting against the summoner, and the summoner, is a character that does what his namesake is, summons. And she kept fighting the summoner and would always get upset because she was like, why isn't more people coming up? Why are these more people keep appearing? And it's like, you start fighting this character like 17, I swear it was like 45 minutes of her playing the game, and she still was at the same part fighting the summoner. Because the summoner, she kept killing the other two that the summoner was summoning, but she wasn't killing the summoner, so the summoner would just keep bringing 2 more people around. And she was like, why is there so many people coming around? That's another thing, too. They get so overwhelmed and so overstimulated when it's like more than like 4 people to fight, which is totally understandable. It's a lot. Hence why it's a game of progression. Like, if you can beat 1, you can beat 2. If you can beat 2, you can beat 3. If you can beat 3, you can be 4, and it's like it keeps going up. Like, oh, you leveling up your axe? All right, cool. We gonna give you 4 more people to fight within this whole thing. Or we gonna give you an ogre and like 7 people to fight around that ogre. So it's a progression. It's a game. So, but it got to a point where, I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I can't. But now, watching the newer version, I personally just enjoy the banter. I enjoy the gameplay. Like, it's not that bad because it's not like the kamikaze people or like enemies are like in every match or every board or every realm or stuff like that. So, but it's entertaining, and I think honestly I enjoy seeing like women players be attentive or affectionate to the narrative of the story as well as the narrative of the character development of Atreus and Kratos. Like, I enjoy that. Like, I enjoy when women are, especially in this day and age, in this climate, where women aren't assholes just because of penis. Like, and that was another thing. It was a lot of women gamers that I was like, I'm not watching this because they just, one, they'll be in the whole thing of like Kratos is a bad dad because he's not showing affection when they don't even know Kratos' history. They just be like, oh, why you being mean to him? Why you being mean to Atreus? You don't know this man's history. You don't know his life. Why I stopped watching Boruto, because that first episode, now granted, I know I should watch Boruto, but after that first episode where Boruto was like, this not my dad's story, this is my story. Like, you know what that motherfucker did? You know this motherfucker saved the Leaf Village? This nigga saved the world. You gonna fucking put some respect on your dad's name. What you mean? What you mean? You living in his story. This is his story. Your story wouldn't be shit without his story. Like that's how that's how I feel with the whole Boruto thing. Like, I get so upset after hearing that first episode. I'm like, you little shit. You little shit. But regardless, that's my own personal girls I'm bearing. But yeah, like, I don't like when it's the whole thing of like them coming at like the characters. Like, I like when eventually they start learning the narrative of the story and seeing the progression of the characters in the story, how it goes, and how he does learn, especially if they played the 2018 version going into 2020 Ragnarok and play Ragnarok, and they see the progression of his character and understand, oh yeah, no, this is just a man who lived a hard life and did a lot of wild, crazy shit, who's just scared of his nature and scared of, what did he pass on to his son, and he just want to protect his son from everything possible that he can think of, including himself. Like, I respect it. But, like, yeah. Oh, speaking of which, another, like, dynamic story, and I'm still watching Smoke. I'm trying to take it, like, one episode at a time, which allows me to, like, just process each episode. Like, it got to the point where I did watch, like, 2 episodes in one, like, sitting, like, one day. But I'm on episode 8, so I got, like, 2 episodes left. Episode 8, episode 9, and then the series is done. When I tell you that shit is so good, I will say I'm a little bit confused. I'm not going to say I still am confused about his ex-wife, or his wife. Not his ex-wife, because his ex-wife is a whole nother character in which. Oh. His ex-wife is a whole nother. Sorry, I had to change mics. His ex-wife is a whole nother character in which. But his wife, his current wife in the show, I was confused with the motivation of her character. At a certain point, I didn't understand it. It felt like it came out of left field. Like, I felt like it was a build up to get there. I just don't know what I missed or what was removed from deleted scenes that got to that final point with her and his character. It was strange to me, and I'm referring to the hospital scene where he was in the hospital bed, not if anything, I don't know if anything happens to her episode 8 or 9, but and I guess episode 6, or it might have been it was episode 6. Like I don't get how we got to point A to point B with that one, but regardless, it was just but the show is phenomenal. The show is so well done. I can relate to almost all the characters in that series, which is so funny to say. I mean, regardless of anything, outside of the fact that I am not an arsonist, I'm not, psychologically, like, deficient the way that this character is. I am a writer, and I also have written myself into my stories, so I'm like, I relate to that, as well as the fact that, like, when you, like, it was so interesting seeing the characters argue when they was arguing, and then to have her, like, his wife's character lie to him and then try to use that against him later about his book. It was like, your book sucks, blah blah blah, and I read books and blah. It's like, all right, cool, you read books, but you ever written a book? So why are you coming at him for, like, his writing? This is his first book he's trying to write. Like, damn, that's crazy. But regardless, it leads up to that whole argument thing, and I understand why she was mad, because I've been mad as shit too. If you fucking, like, said you was going to do something and you didn't do it when it comes to my child. But at the same time, I will give a little grace, because point blank period, that's also a thing of a reminder. If you say, hey, I want you to do something with my kid, I'm going to also send a reminder, because that's not, my kid is my responsibility. If I'm entrusting you with my kid, then I'm going to check in. I'm going to constantly check in. I'm going to be like, hey, is everything still A-okay with what's going to happen, where y'all going to go, or what y'all going to do that day, prior. Even if it's the same day where we just changed plans, I'm going to call before or text before the thing happens, like, hey, everything's still a go, everything's still good, or do I need to do something? Like, yeah, like, she said one thing to him in the early morning, knowing all the stuff that he does, and then when he forget about it, she was mad about it, and was like, yo, what the fuck? Now, granted, his response was dickish as shit. His response was like, I'm not going to take accountability or responsibility. Your son is a grown-ass little boy. Like, he should be cool. That was fucked up. Because, like, he's still a kid, dude. Like, relax. But, like, it was great character introspection between their character developments. I enjoyed it. Fucking Journey Smollett character is so phenomenally done, and she's playing this role expertly. Like, it's oh man, I'm looking forward to seeing how her storyline is going to go into play with her mom and everything. I got 2 more episodes left. I am completely in awe with this show. I don't want it to end. That's why I'm really stopping myself from, like, just binging it all the way through. But I'm so excited for it. I'm so happy for it. I wish and hope it's a season 2, but because it came out, last year, and I'm not sure how much recognition it got, if they're going to do a part 2, and if it's going to be a part 2, is it going to be, same characters, yada yada yada. But regardless, I'm looking forward to it. But I think that's about it. It's 1:02 now, and I think it's time for me to go shopping and get my stuff so I can head back home. Because regardless of anything, it's been drizzling off and on. It hasn't started raining yet, but I don't want to get stuck out here. So, once again, thank you all for being here. I want to say, I appreciate everyone who listens to my podcast, everybody who comes back week after week. I really do appreciate you all. Thank you so much for allowing me to entertain you and regale you with my thoughts and my feelings and the things I am like excited about or interested in talking about. I hope you all are doing well. I hope all y'all are safe. I hope that we can all come back next week and enjoy another episode and feel more connected to each other and yada yada yada, all the good stuff. All the good stuff. So again, thank you all for traversing this verse with me, and be safe out there, be kind to each other, and just let the arms of the phoenixes wrap you up. And I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks again. This has been a Troyiverse production.